It's incredible just how quickly this garden's changing at this time of year. In the middle of May, we're really at peak growing season. Everything's just coming into its very best. Still got that lush green new leaf growth on the trees, particularly the beeches. Copper beeches at the front of the house have now come out, giving a fantastic backdrop to this colour explosion we're getting in the borders. There's some nice peaceful shady areas in the garden as well. Particularly love this little spot just under the roses. We've got this little blue flower just spiking up through the old leaf of the quince with the rose above it. Going to be some weeks before the rose comes into blossom. This is quite a late flowering shrub rose, apricot colour, little clusters of flowers. But on the base of this little border behind the old barn in the old vegetable garden, still a mass of campion and geraniums really doing fantastically here. These little herbaceous geraniums, so delicate in their flower, but enough of them just to impact on the green speckled foliage beneath. Lovely subtle planting, and then with the campion just drifting behind it. Colour combination works really well. There's little spires of blue, you can see it's self-seeded itself into this area as well. Earlier on in this border, earlier in the season, we had a mass of Christmas roses. They're still foliage high, but they're overgrown by this time of year by the additional planting around them. You can see that peony in the centre struggling a little bit, not quite getting enough light. It's a bit overgrown by the two herbaceous geraniums either side and the daylily just in the foreground, but still got a couple of spires on it. Should be a lot more flower growth on that if it was given a bit more light, I feel. New iris border's looking quite good. Haven't done any further work on it because the predicted rain that we've had coming over the previous day and a half did actually arrive eventually. Watered it in really nicely. They're all looking quite good considering they've just been moved at the wrong time of year. Work for this weekend's to try and get the remaining irises transplanted into the space we've got at either end of this border, and then get the gravel top dressing in place, which will further stabilise and help the plants and protect them from Weimaraner collateral damage. Don't know whether she's going to respect the paths or not, but we will see. Let's walk around the rest of the garden and see what we've got coming on. This is the little border we've just shown you. Now on the back of the garden we've got the long planting of the rhododendrons just coming to the end of their season now. They've done very well considering we've had them in flower now for almost a month and a half, the early ones, just browning off the buds. They'll rapidly be replaced by the new upright lime green growth. This one's ahead of itself. This is one of the early varieties, you can see completely finished, but what you get very rapidly is these upwards pointing lime green new leaf growths extending the plant for the following seasons, so they should be good. The orchard now, just a little trickling of cow parsley filling in. Not much colour at this time of year, but we will get a secondary flush of colour as the dandelion fills in after the cow parsley. But I do just love the very gentle drifts of the cow parsley under the apple trees here this time of year. Gorgeous. Now this planting is what really inspired us this year to get going with that new iris border. All these were just transplanted into this area as a holding measure because we had so many rhizomes when we started dividing. Mixed planting, loads of different varieties. We try researching a lot of the names because many of them have been growing here in this garden for decades, if not longer. I'm still thinking this one could be Jack's lemon. I always have referred to it as Jacksiana lemon, and I still think it may well be with that lovely yellow throat and the striations on it as it fades. A lovely one, and we've got that just starting to flower in the long border now. For us right now, this is dark black purples, which are really one of the most spectacular, but just look at this beauty in amongst the middle of them. Again, we're going to try labelling these this year so that we can split and divide them and move them where they're just going to pop. But what a fantastic planting. Still plenty of bud colour to come on in this area. And then the other new planting in this garden was this area of iris again around the old millstone and little bird bath. Again, just gets better and better each week. They're quite a short-lived transient flower irises, but just so spectacular, so architectural. I just absolutely thrilled to bits with the display we're getting this year from these. And here's the original planting, now a monoculture of what I hope is Jack's lemon. 3 rows. Didn't think they were going to flower at all this year, but just look at the amount of blossom we've got coming up on this. Still a lot to come on. It's quite a late flowering variety of iris this. See, we've had to get the hose out earlier this week to start watering because we were getting quite dry. Absolutely gorgeous plant this. Just look at that detail. A lovely, delicate, russety bronze. How would you describe that colour, Kate?
Oh my goodness, that's difficult.
It's almost purple, isn't it, on the base of the drops, and then that striation around the flower and where the beard comes out.
It's quite understated really compared to some of the irises, but there's just something of... there's a dog in it. Laura, out.
It's going to do him no good at all.
Come on.
Come on, off there.